What's up, guys? I'm here with Treespy Flippin. She's doing retail arbitrage. She's done 6,000 in lifetime sales. I always get flack for not bringing girls on the pod. Well, we got a girl on the pod today, and she's hustling. She's crushing it. So welcome to the Amazon Savages podcast.
Welcome to the Amazon Savages podcast. Hear the stories of Amazon sellers crushing it in the game and keep up with the latest strategies that are working. Sit back, relax, and remember, if you truly try and work really hard, you will make a ridiculous amount of money selling on Amazon.
And that's what you did. You tried, you put the effort in. Walk us through kind of how you got started selling on Amazon, how you got introduced to the whole thing. Did you run into somebody that was selling on Amazon? Did you see a TikTok, Instagram reel? Like, what kind of got you excited about the opportunity, and how did you get success?
Well, it just kind of happened randomly. It popped up on my Instagram algorithm one day, and it sounded interesting to me. So from there, I did more research and everything. And I actually learned the private label model first, but I realized it was really risky. You know, I didn't have like a lot of capital to risk. So I decided to think of other ways. And then that's when I figured out or realized you could do arbitrage. So then that's when I was like, that's a lot easier, you know, to start out with.
Yeah.
And just kind of.
You probably like shopping anyway.
Yeah, I do. I'm always in those stores. I'm always in Ross, Marshall, Burlington. So it was like, I was going to do that anyway. So
yeah. So what did you start with? Like just the Amazon seller app, looking up UPC codes?
Yes, I was making so many mistakes. And this is because I did do everything on YouTube, you know, all my research and everything like that. And I didn't have an Instagram or anything. So I was just scanning stuff, and whatever Amazon would allow me to sell, that's what I would just sell. It didn't matter. I didn't know anything about, you know, the best sellers rank or anything. So I was just buying stuff. And then I was taking the stuff to the UPS store to be shipped. So I was paying high shipping costs too. So I was making a lot of mistakes. So I decided to just go ahead and find a community. So I made an account. And then from there, I just met a lot of good people, joined a couple of Discords. And
Who has helped you the most, would you say, or what community?
I would say, honestly, it would be between his name on here is Amazon Goat.
Amazon Goat. Okay.
And then Lewis Moore.
Amazon Go. Let me look this guy up.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. He's got like AMZN Goat.
Yes.
Nice. And he mainly does retail arbitrage too?
No, he does like online arbitrage, but he does do retail arbitrage too.
I see him in the gym lifting those weights. Nice.
Shout out to him because he definitely he's helped a lot for me.
And then who else did you say?
Lewis Moore.
Lewis Moore. Oh yeah, Lewis. I've had him on the pod, or he had me on his pod. I felt bad. I went on his podcast when I was living in Colombia, and my Wi-Fi was so bad on that podcast. I don't think he ever posted it.
Oh wow.
Is that the guy that he's out in? Is he living in Germany right now?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I remember that. So, but he's mainly doing OA, right?
Yes. Yeah. Mainly OA. It's me. I have like an obsession with RA. Like, I love it.
What has been your most profitable flip so far? You don't have to tell us the exact item.
I will, because it was just random. Because this is when I was doing the random stuff. I sell like luxury handbags on places like eBay and Poshmark. So I decided to try the same thing on Amazon, and it was like a purse. It was a purse. It was a Kurt Geiger purse. And I bought it for like $100 and sold it for like $245.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I feel like, see, I did OA in 2022, and I did 300K in sales, and it was about an 8% margin. It's probably like 11% margin, 12 if you include cash back. But I feel like I have a weakness because I will go to somebody's house with my shoes. I'll take my shoes off, go inside their house, and then when I leave, I'll put their shoes on if their shoes look like my shoes. So like if I'm wearing like Nike white, I don't even know different types of shoes. And I bought so many and sold so many on Amazon. Like my brain just does not care about shoes or like little details. My brain just doesn't get details. And so when I was doing OA, I would buy all these items that were the wrong variation. I'd be like, oh, this is such a good deal. And I would buy it as soon as the prep. And then the prep would list it under the ACE, and I wanted them to a lot of times because they're just doing what I told them to do. And then the customer would complain about it being the wrong item. And I feel like that's why I like books, because books are just like, you just brute force, scan, find the books. And I think that's kind of why I gravitated towards that. But I think people that are a little bit more detail oriented, like you, can do really well because you can see the differences and you actually know what people want and shit like that. And so for me, like buying the shoes, I would like sell children's shoes on adult listings. Like it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I had to learn about variations too because I did the same thing. I bought a bunch of like Nike, but luckily it was before I posted them and listed them and sent them off.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's the problem. If you're using a prep center, you're not.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You're using a prep center, you don't see the item. So the prep center is just going to list it under the ASIN that you send it.
Yeah.
If you send it to your house first, I got some numbers over there. You can check, make sure they're good. So there's that barrier.
Yeah. Definitely.
So what are your 2024 goals?
So my 2024 goals is to basically get back into selling, and it's not a sob story or anything, but I just had a rough summer and just take a break, mentally. And I never gave up or felt like I was going to. I just needed some time to kind of just, decompress.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start back with books actually, but I actually have a like story about books because I tried the Nextdoor app way.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the craziest experience because people were willing to really give away all of those books, and then it got so I still have books that I can't sell. Like it was so many books that, didn't have any profit. And I was like, oh my goodness, you found some good ones. But I was like, I'm sure there's a strategy to that maybe I didn't try because it was like a lot of like books that are, yeah.
They just weren't profitable, or
Yeah, they're just not profitable. And then it's like I've been, trying to get rid of them. I gave some
it's just
away.
a numbers game. And
Yeah.
so like you just gotta like, I mean, if you have 1,000 books, you just gotta see, are you gonna accept 6% of them, 10% of them? Like there's gonna be a percentage of the 1,000 that are good to sell. You just have to find out what that percentage is. And sometimes on Nextdoor, it'll be 50%. Sometimes it'll be 5%. Sometimes it'll be 3%. And so you just got to go through the numbers and figure it out. But don't waste time. I think a big mistake that booksellers make starting out is they try to monetize every single book. And so they're like, oh, I have 500 books. I worked really hard to carry them in my house. I need to make as much profit as possible. So rather than just scanning them and donating the rest to Goodwill, they scan them all, then they rescan them for eBay. They rescan them for a buyback vendor. They try to sell them on Facebook Marketplace. And like they're wasting all the time on these dud books when they should have just scanned the 500 in a couple hours or an hour or two and gotten them out. That's my opinion. And so, and if you get like over time, you won't make that same mistake again because you'll look at the books and you'll be like, these are shitty books. Like I'm not going to waste my whole afternoon loading these in my car, bringing them to my house, when you can just look at the covers and know that it's a bunch of shitty fiction.
Yeah, I learned that. Now I can definitely spot one really fast. So
yeah,
definitely not. I want to do it again though. I want to start back with the books and then just slowly start going back into maybe some more online arbitrage.
Yeah. Books have such high ROI. Books are so underrated because, people look at books as like, oh, it's just like it is a gateway drug to selling on Amazon. It is a way to get started. But what people don't realize about books is like there's some savages out there that are making like $100K a month selling books. And it's just because they've nailed down the places to get the good books. They found large sources for textbooks. And even if you're just doing this on the side, all it takes is like one call from a friend who had a friend that was a preacher that died. And all of a sudden you get a whole closet filled with religious books that are going to net you $5,000. Like that happens, And so this idea that you can only build your book business going to thrift stores is flawed. Like where you're going to get the good books is where they came from before they went to the thrift store. Otherwise you're grinding it out. And you can grind it out. Like I got a buddy, he'll be speaking at Miami Sellers Conference this year. He does 600,000 every month in book sales out of Canada. What he does is he just gets pallets and pallets of books. He figured out that X% of the books are good to sell on Amazon, and he just like ran it up. He was like, all right, roger that. Let's get 500X what we were doing. And now he's just got all these books coming in, going out his warehouse, systems to process them, just a numbers game, So books are good.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I just need to be more organized this time because when I was selling the first time, I wasn't really, I'm still a new seller in my opinion. So
Mhm.
I'm still learning everything. And the book thing, I know now for sure, how to go about starting out this time around, but I need to be more organized.
Yeah.
Like,
In what sense do you think? Like the processing of them, sending them to Amazon?
yes, and just keeping track of everything. Like, I really do need to get on top of that. Like, this is my first time, and it's like, my first experience with, numbers and stuff like that. So I want to make sure that, when I'm doing the books and stuff this time, I'm more organized because I think that that was a part of why it was so easy for me to take the break that I took because I felt like I wanted to start over.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you didn't understand your numbers very well?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I was in here like, I really didn't know. I mean, when you use the Seller Amp app, what that tells you as far as like what the profit is going to be. But of course, the listings are going to fluctuate and stuff like that. So I never really knew exactly what I was netting. It was just like I knew what I was doing in the store, but then once it got, to Amazon and they sold it, I don't know what I really made. I wasn't
Yeah.
really, yeah.
Not to toot my own horn, but I do have a software for that. I can show you real quick.
Okay.
So this is GoToLister here.
Heard of GoToLister, yes.
Yep. And so it tells you what your sales are. Like the Amazon seller app will tell you this. So 42,000 sales. After buy costs and Amazon fees, we're left with 25,000 profit. And it tells you how many items you've sold, how many you've listed. Like the more items you list, the more money you're going to make. The more you feed the beast, the more the beast will feed you. So send more books to Amazon, you'll make more money. And it tells you your average sales price too. And if you go down to profit, it breaks down on a daily basis. It breaks down all these numbers for you. So it breaks down what you paid for the inventory. So 7,000 is what we paid for the inventory. Amazon charges 9,000 in fees, and we're left with 25K profit. So this is just $50 a month. It lets you have a really easy workflow to send shipments to Amazon, but it also gives you analytics. And this is what we're working really hard on in 2024 is making these even more comprehensive. So you can like import, what you paid for gas, what you paid for Seller Amp, what you paid for these different softwares to give you a true net profit. That's our goal this year is to get net profit. Right now, this tells you gross profit, tells you you're making good purchasing decisions. And then if you go back to the dashboard, I personally think what you should be tracking is how many items you sell. We're going to display this soon, but your turn rate is what it's called. So how many items you sell versus how many items you have in inventory. So let's say you have 2,000 books listed. If you sold 1,000 books in the last 30 days, that means that you sold 50% of your inventory, which is really good. Not completely uncommon for booksellers. That's actually pretty normal for wholesale and OA sellers. You should be selling about 50 to 100% of your inventory every 30 days. For booksellers, 20% is good. If you can sell at least 20%, then that means that for every 1,000 books you have in stock, you're selling 200. That's decent for booksellers. You should strive for that. Maybe more. Maybe it's a little bit less. If it's less than 20%, you're probably sourcing too many slow-moving books. But this dashboard here gives you like a quick glimpse of that. So you can have a little bit more confidence running your business by just knowing some of these numbers. And, I think you were kind of talking about numbers on the front end too. Like you don't want to be sending in crappy books if the numbers don't even look good on the first book, you scan. Like if you scan the book, there's the numbers there you can analyze, the e-score, the sales rank, the profit, and you need to make sure that you have those dialed in too. Mm-hmm. And really it's just like don't send in too many cheap books, in my opinion. If you send in too many $1.50 books, you're going to load up your inventory with hundreds of books that you'll have to pay removal fees for.
Yeah.
And you got to pay $2 per removal fee, and you paid $1 for the book. Now you're -3. So
yeah. So
raise that profit. Raise the profit floor is my opinion.
Definitely.
Do you have a sales goal in mind for 24?
I'm still trying to reach 6 figures. That's still my goal. And I know this time around it's going to be a lot better for me. So I'm still just trying to reach the 6-figure mark, so I'm celebrating my small wins.
And remind me, where you're located again?
I'm in South Carolina.
South Carolina. Okay.
Yeah.
Which part?
Columbia, South Carolina.
Columbia, okay. I actually went to a college in Columbia that was closing down. I drove to a college closing down.
Mhm.
This was 2019. It was Virginia College was the name of it.
Mhm.
And we got like 20 grand profit
Wow.
that weekend, just getting all their textbooks. We went inside. There was so much stuff for sale. Everyone was going inside. There's printers for sale. I could have made so much more money probably if I would have sold the other things, but I just went to the bookstore. I bought all the books. I prepped them, and I literally put all the FBA boxes outside of the college, and I just scheduled a UPS pickup, and I left.
Wow.
That was one of the craziest weekends of my life.
Wow. Yeah, that's really good. I just want, like, a lot of people aren't aware, of any of this where I am. So I feel like I have like leverage there with that as far as being able to get in the stores and kind of, I mean, I know people travel and stuff, but I felt weird too. I did try Scout IQ.
Uh-huh.
And I was going to just Goodwill, just like regular thrift stores like that. And then like people, they were coming around. I felt so weird.
Yeah. I mean, you got to get over that. The first time I ever scanned, I didn't use Scout IQ. It was FBA Scan at the time. And I went into a Goodwill here in Nashville because I had successfully sold my books in college. So I knew I could make money doing this. I had been selling textbooks. I probably had done like 3, 4, 5,000 in sales just throughout my time in college. And I saw a bunch of Reezy resale videos, and I'm like, this shit looks like a scam. Like, there's no way there's profitable books just sitting on shelves at thrift stores. So I downloaded the app. I went in and I started scanning. And like, I think every beginner kind of has this experience where you get like a bunch of green books, but you don't know like how good they are, but they're just green. And so you feel like you won the lottery. You're like, holy shit. And like, I just loaded up the cart with all these books. And the manager of the Goodwill came out and he looks at me and he could just feel my demeanor was like, I felt like I was stealing them. I was like, oh, he has no idea how profitable these books are. It turns out like most of them were probably shitty, but this guy was like, that's enough. He literally told me, he's like, that's enough. He was like, you got to get out of here. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I know what you're doing. And I'm like, okay. And so I go and I check out. I buy all these shitty books that aren't even going to make me a bunch of money because I don't know what I'm doing yet. No, but I didn't really watch the YouTube videos in depth. So I didn't know like what good books were. I didn't know about eScore. There wasn't even eScore back then. It didn't exist. And so I leave the thrift store and I probably had been to 300 thrift stores after that. And not once have I had that experience. It was just the very first time I went. And I think it was because I felt guilty. Now I don't give a shit. I'll do the weirdest things now. Like I will go into a library sale. If you guys looked at my YouTube video, I posted this YouTube video. I got bitched out by a Karen in a library sale.
I saw that video.
Yeah. So I'll be so weird now that I'll have like my friend record me in the library sale and I'll be like on the ground scanning books and I don't even give a shit. It's like the times have changed because I know that what I'm doing is good. I know that what we're doing as resellers is good because we're taking books. Not only are we making money for ourselves, which is good, but we're also providing the books to people who want the books online, who are actually going to read the books. So I look at what we do as like a very good service. So I don't feel guilty about it at all.
Definitely. But I had bought the scanner, the Anatomy scanner.
Yep.
So, I'm standing there with this thing and people are looking at me.
Yeah, I know. It does feel, my mom's like that too. My mom's still getting over that. She's like, I just feel, my mom always feels bad. I'm like, Mom, like, don't feel bad. Like, but yeah, it's kind of like, it makes it look like you're an employee. I used to get asked all the time, like, hey, where's this section? And I just started answering people's questions after a while. I'm like, I know where that section is. So I wouldn't even tell them that I wasn't working there. I would just pretend like I was.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Like, I'm kind of like an introvert in real life. So when people start, asking me questions and looking at me, I'm like,
hey, just give me your Instagram and be like, Trees be flipping. Follow me here if you want to learn more.
Yeah.
So you want to hit, when are you going to hit 6 figures by?
Hopefully, probably sooner than, I think, it doesn't seem like I pretty much have the concept of everything pretty much nailed as far as like knowing how to at least pick good products, find a decent book and stuff like that. So I feel like just putting my energy back into it is all that it's going to be. So it's me, I have to start, getting ready to get back into it and stuff. And that's the plan for the year, is to basically go back starting with the books.
Yep. Yeah, follow your heart, like whatever feels good for you. So like books may or may not feel good for you. Like if you always feel weird doing it, maybe
Yeah.
you're better at doing something else, but all you need to do to build a profitable Amazon business is just find good product. Like that's an oversimplification of it, but that's the truth. And once you harness that skill, you'll harness it in your own little way. The sky's the limit.
Yeah, I believe it definitely, because I know it's, possible. I've sold some of the books that I did get, and some of them were really good books, really, really good books. One of them was, I think it wasn't that much, but for me it was, because all of the books were like not good. And then I scanned one that was like $150 profit. It hasn't sold yet though.
Do you remember what the eScore or sales rank was?
No, this was last year sometime. Again, I wasn't even really writing things down and keeping track of stuff. And that's one thing I plan on doing this time. Yeah.
Yep. Well, heck yeah. Can people reach out to you if they have questions about anything?
Yes. At Trace B Flippin right there on Instagram.
Go give her a follow, guys. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.